conversations. We're talking astronomy and astrology and rocket launch of the SpaceX Falcon 9. And we'll hear more from the Illinois State Treasurer about an announcement of $50 million for a loan program to help federal workers during the shutdown right now. We are on day 30, everybody. Remember, day 35 would be tying history, and there's still no show that either the Democrats or Republicans are ready to move on this. But we're also going to show you the impact more clearly, and we're going to take you live to where furloughed and fired federal workers are gathering to collect food for their families. In the midst of it all, heroes are all around. In Hammond, the fire department had a culinary idea to help people in their community and beyond with SNAP benefits set to end this upcoming weekend. I'm going to talk to them about how to stretch your dollar for food, and I'm going to introduce you to Officer Zachary Finn. He is a Cook County Sheriff's Police officer who was in the right place at the right time to save a woman's life. So there's plenty ahead, but we are starting off this 1 o'clock hour with a leader from the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership as Catholic priests, sisters, and members of the community, again, seek permission to provide communion inside that controversial ICE processing center in Broadview for All Saints Day, or Dia de los Muertos. Father David Inchauskis is joining me now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Anita.
Certainly appreciate you. One of you all's messages is that God is with the oppressed. Tell me a little bit about that message and why you're going specifically to this facility to highlight that.
Yeah, so we know that our sisters and brothers in Christ have been separated from their communities, from their churches, from their families, violently torn away from kitchen tables, from their places of work. They've been detained in this center in Broadview. They're subject to inhumane conditions. And so we want to go and provide solidarity, provide comfort and strength by doing something that the Catholic Church does every day throughout the world, which is going into prisons and detention centers and offering communion with those who are there, which is one of their fundamental rights as U.S. citizens, and also as part of the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights. It extends not only to United States citizens, but to all people, this fundamental right given by God, which is to worship.
In September, Pastor David Black of the First Presbyterian Church in Chicago was shot in the head with a pepper ball outside of that facility. As I mentioned, you all have been to Broadview's processing center before. So what was your reception like when you visited prior to this?
So we had gone 3 weeks ago, and it was a very peaceful and prayerful event. We had great help and support from the Illinois State Police, who even blocked off roads and helped us along the path to the detention center as we processed with the Eucharist. We were calm, we were praying. We sent a delegation of 8 people to attempt to go in, who peacefully negotiated with the Illinois State Police, who relayed the message to our delegation that ICE had rejected that opportunity. So we decided to continue by singing, praying, and having communion amongst ourselves. We've proceeded in a great spirit of nonviolence and peacefulness.
Mm-hmm. And you follow the Department of Homeland Security's protocol, and you formally requested access. So tell me what that process is like.
Absolutely. So it was communicated to the Chicago Tribune by the Department of Homeland Security that what was required in order to have access to the facility to offer communion is a notification 1 week in advance. And so actually on October 22nd, the mayor of Broadview submitted a request on our behalf for CSPL. And then 2 days later, on October 24th, we submitted our own request. And so this complies with that order to put in the request a week in advance. So if ICE is not going to be hypocritical in what they say and what they do, they would allow us in this Saturday, which is on November 1st, more than a week since we had put in this request.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Tell me about the significance of this particular holiday.
Yes, absolutely. So on All Saints Day and also Dia de los Muertos, one of the things that we celebrate as Catholics is the unity of the church. So those great saints in heaven who have stood up for charity and for justice throughout the ages. They're interceding for us. Also, those who are inside that detention center are saints united by the love of Christ. Those who are outside, those who are afraid also to attend this Mass because they know that they might be putting themselves at risk by leaving their houses and entering a public space. All of us are united by the love of God, and we're in solidarity with each other as a church. And as St. Paul encouraged us to do, we suffer with those who are suffering. We rejoice with those who are rejoicing. And so we stand in solidarity in this particular moment with members of our community who are suffering, seeking to offer them a moment of consolation in the Eucharist.
Do you know anyone, or have you spoken to any family members of people who have gone through that center?
I have not spoken to anyone personally about those who are detained because, in fact, one of the issues that we have, Anita, is that we don't really know who is inside that center because of the great lack of transparency from DHS and ICE. There is very limited communication. So it's difficult for us to know. It's difficult for us to be in contact with family members who might be seeking some support from the church, partially because the communication with ICE and DHS is so blocked.
Yeah, if people maybe are unfamiliar with your organization, explain you all's overall mission and how this fits into that.
Absolutely. So we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic Catholic and Christian organization with member parishes, universities, individual members, small businesses throughout Chicago. And what we stand for is a liberative version of the message of Jesus Christ. We know that Jesus Christ came to proclaim the mission of the reign of God, which is a radically alternative style of life in which there's radical equality and justice, and where the last are first. And so when we see the suffering of members of our community, it's our job as Christians to organize around any needs that they may have so that their voice can be heard. And we want to lift up that voice, imitating our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who in his ministry and his own life was so close to the poor and marginalized and sought to lift them up from that marginalization they were experiencing. That mission continues today here in Chicago.
You know, obviously, the Trump administration believes that through Operation Midway Blitz, they are, in their words, getting the worst of the worst off of the streets, and that there are hardened criminals that may be inside of that facility. In our reporting, we know that there have been American citizens who've been caught up in some of these raids, but what are your thoughts on their position on the raids that they've been having?
Yeah, so we know that they're detaining and they're deporting people without due process, right? So this is a fundamental violation of everything that we stand for, ideally, as the United States of America, by denying people that basic right to due process. So in many cases, we don't know, and these processes are happening so quickly. People are being torn away, put into these detention centers without access. And so I think there's a certain rhetoric that the Trump administration has been promoting regarding what they're doing, targeting criminals, but we know that that's shifting. And if you watch any commercial here in Chicago, you see Kristi Noem, who comes in and says that they're going to deport anyone who is undocumented. So we're seeing a great hypocrisy and a differentiation of message from the Trump administration and a lack of transparency as to what they're doing. And I think also part of the job of the church is to call that out and be prophetic and to denounce the evil of that lack of transparency and that hypocrisy, and to call the administration to account as well, and to be a public conscience and a witness to the values that we stand for as Christians here in Chicago.
Yeah, and of course, the DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem, that you mentioned, was just giving an update on Operation Midway Blitz just in the last about the last 45 minutes or so. Let me ask you this, and I do think that all clergymen and women have to ask themselves this question, like, where is there a line between church and politics?
Yeah, no, I think that's an important question. I think what we are intending to do is to stand up for those who are most marginalized in our communities. And so one can say or say not that it's partisan politics in doing so, but the fact is that what we're seeking to do is to bring the love of Jesus Christ to all people, especially those who are at the margins. One can interpret that as political, one could interpret it as not political. But for us, what we're seeking to do is to follow the gospel of Jesus Christ, who said that the last will be first, the first will be last, who also preached woe to the rich, and who preached a solidarity and blessings to the poor, and who also encouraged us to welcome migrants, and who also encouraged us to visit those who are in prison. And so what we're doing is we're seeking to follow Jesus Christ. And I would say, in the rejection of communion that the Department of Homeland Security did when we attempted to enter the facility a few weeks ago to offer communion, actually they rendered something that was largely apolitical, simply the Catholic Church going in as we do every day all throughout the world in order to offer communion to people who are members of the church. They denied that. And so something that is very common and normal for the Catholic Church was rendered political because of that denial.
So are you expecting at all then to hear from DHS in terms of, yes, you can come into this facility, or no, you cannot? And when would that come down to you all?
Yes, so actually this morning, 4 representatives, myself included, from the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership, we actually went to the ICE office in downtown Chicago on Ida B. Wells, and we presented a letter to an official there who said that that letter would be shared with the person in charge of making that decision. And so we have gone through all of the steps. We expect that we should be able to enter because we've complied with that 7-day notice. So if we are rejected, I just think that it shows all the more the hypocrisy of this maze of different regulations that they're proposing and the shifting narrative proposed by DHS. But we simply seek to comply, and we hope that because of our compliance, we'll be able to enter on Saturday.
Let me ask you a couple questions on that. First and foremost, let's say you are allowed in.
Yes.
What would you be taking in? Because, of course, the protesters have said, hey, they're unsanitary conditions, it's inhumane, things that are going on in there. Would you be okay with taking that in with your own eyes and then walking right back out?
Yeah, so what we will take in would just be simply ourselves, our delegation, and also the Eucharist. So we'll have a pyx, we'll have hosts of the presence of Jesus Christ present. We would go in. For those who would like to receive communion, we would offer them that opportunity. For those who would like to receive a blessing, we'd offer them that opportunity, and also offer a moment of pastoral care for those who are there. Now, I think that it is the case that there have been these reports about inhumane conditions inside that facility. So if it were the case that we were to see with our own eyes as we go in inhumane conditions, then I think we would have a duty to share those inhumane conditions, what we've seen with our eyes, with the public. But of course, if DHS is running things as they should be in compliance with humane conditions inside, they should allow us in to do something that would be very simple, to simply pray with those who are there and offer communion with those who are there. But it kind of leads us to believe that the conditions are particularly inhumane, and that something so basic, something so routine, which is done throughout the world every day, is being denied to these most peaceful people. I'll tell you, the people we have had in this delegation are the most wonderful, joyful, calm, loving people. We're not there to throw stones. We're there to share the love of Jesus Christ with those who are inside, who may be experiencing great fear, separation from their families, and impending deportation.
Yeah. Do you feel like, obviously, whenever you go into an area where there have been peaceful and non-peaceful protests, maybe they feel like, well, we can't tell the difference. We don't know if these are the peaceful people or not.
Yes, so we have been in touch with Illinois State Police, also with the Broadview Mayor's Office, also with the local police. And so they know who we are. They know who we are, and they know what we had done 3 weeks ago. And so anyone who was there, I saw with my own eyes that experience, which was one of great peace, joyful singing, also lamenting the moment when we were turned away, but lamenting in a way that was respectful and prayerful. And so what I would say would be, of course, different people go into that situation with different motives and different tactics. But we as the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership do so in a long tradition in the U.S. Church, which is one of committed nonviolence. We do want to resist the evil of what's going on in Chicago with these detentions and deportations. But at the same time, our resistance is taking place in a peaceful manner and in a way that's totally committed to nonviolence. All of those who attended our Eucharistic procession last time made a commitment to nonviolent action. The executive director asked everyone to stand up in the church at St. Eulalia to show their commitment to nonviolence. We did that. So I think that we can trust that at Saturday at 10 a.m., this November 1st, those who are in attendance, we're going to be having that prayerful attitude, and we are going to denounce what is occurring in our city, but we're going to do so in a way which is peaceful and respectful.
Okay, on the flip side of things, if you're not allowed in, where do things go from here? Do you go back in another week or in a few days? What are your next steps? What are your courses of action?
Yeah, so I think that we keep on trying. We Christians are people of hope, and we believe that the power of Christ impels us to do what we're doing. And so that doesn't mean that we're simply going to give up. I think we'll continue trying. Now, there may be alternatives that we can pursue as well, and we would want to look into that. There may be potential considerations for finding out, why is it that we were denied? Because I think that will be critical. DHS's narrative has shifted from time to time about why this denial took place. So now, given that we have the clear reporting from the Chicago Tribune on that statement from DHS that it simply takes notification of 1 week in advance, we have that. And so if we are denied, I think it's worth looking into that and really focusing on that message of the hypocrisy of being denied. Now, I think we also, as the Coalition for Spiritual and Public Leadership, this is not our only initiative. We also are doing trainings throughout Chicago, these trainings which are called Know Your Faith, Know Your Rights, so that people who are affiliated with churches and communities of faith could receive this great tradition that has been so successful in protecting Chicagoans of knowing your rights, but couching that within a theological message of justice and of political holiness. So we're continuing to do that. We're also developing parish packets such that parishes can be equipped with what they need to know and objects like whistles that will help to protect their communities as well. So we have a number of initiatives going on, but this is an important initiative because we want to be with those who are suffering, and we know that people are suffering inside that Broadview Detention Center.
I have definitely started to hear more people with whistles at many of these raids. How are you counseling people who you may encounter in these different programs that you have or initiatives that you have? How are you counseling them through a time when they may be very fearful of everyday things?
Yes, absolutely. So I think part of it is simply listening and being in community. And this is what churches can do, is that in order to protect those who are vulnerable to deportation and detention, we have to organize as communities, and we have to get the word out. So having these trainings is so important. But also, in churches and as a pastor, as a priest, something that's important to me also is listening to people. Listening to people who are living through this moment in great fear. I'm here at Loyola University Chicago, And every day I hear from students talking about their fear, especially students of color who would be walking from their homes to the campus, and they're afraid, as you pointed out, Anita, that they might be detained simply because of the color of their skin, because of a lack of due process that's occurring. Even citizens are being picked up, even those who are documented international students have been picked up. So I think we need to be present for those communities. And we also, so for example, for me, maybe I'm not so vulnerable to be detained and deported, but what I can do is offer to give a ride to one of my classmates of color, to an undocumented person, help get them to the store, support them in their everyday activities, and be there for prayer. We had a meeting last night where some members of the community shared that they believe that the power of God is so critical for their support in this time. You know, when we feel so alone and we feel that oppression in our communities, we turn to God because we know that God is our strength. And we also know that this, when we say that God is our strength, it's not a complacency with what's occurring in our society. God is also encouraging us to organize and to resist in a peaceful manner.
Father Anchauskas, thank you so much for your time. Please keep us updated on your initiatives and what happens this weekend.
Thanks so much for having me, Anita.
All right, take care. It's 1:21. We'll be right back. $123 right now. We want to take you live here to Richland Park. Goodness, you can see some folks, and this is a food giveaway. Now remember, of course, this upcoming weekend, SNAP recipients will lose their benefits coming up this weekend. So at the invitation of a township supervisor and the Cook County Commissioner, look at all of the baskets of food right there. Apples, watermelon, all kinds of fruit there. And there were some on the opposite side on tables that's been given away to people in this area here ahead of this deadline that's coming up this weekend. So they have increased preparing for the food pantry in anticipation of this upcoming weekend here, where around 2 million people in Illinois will lose the food assistance from this program. And you can see the cars just lining up there and being served. So many people. We spoke with people from various pantries who said, you know, whatever the numbers that they saw before, they were preparing for so many more now, with inflation, plus now this added aspect of SNAP benefits going away, that they knew they were going to be seeing quite a few people. So Rich Township, the food pantry here, now doing wonderful work to help people who are in need. I see eggs and milk, so much more that's going to people in need at such a difficult time, to help people who really could use it. And on that note, I want to go to another program called Feed and Conserve. So they kind of take a twist on things from the aspect of people in need of food, but then also conservation as well. Walter Willis is joining me now to talk a little bit more about their mission and the things that they're doing right now in this time of flux. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about Feed and Conserve.
Really, the basis of it is the Senate Bill 1398, which was introduced in the 2025 session, which would divert food scraps and good food from landfills to a higher and better use. The primary use being feeding people, then feeding animals, and then ultimately composting and not landfilling. So the feed part of Feed and Conserve is obviously recovering food for people to consume. And the conserve part is to get it out of the landfills so we don't create the methane gases, et cetera. But there's another big angle with 10 other states, actually 11 other states passing similar legislation, is it's a significant job growth when you pull material out of the landfill. But obviously with the impending SNAP issues, not only the short-term issue here, but the longer-term impacts under the big, beautiful bill, our law, we do believe that the Feed and Conserve movement supporting Senate Bill 1398 is the way for Illinois to become more resilient and respond to these federal cuts.
Yeah, and so this seems to be a growing movement, as you said there. And we put SWALCO on the screen. That's the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, Illinois. As I'm seeing here, even if we kind of widen things out, 1 out of 8 Illinoisans is food insecure. 1 in 7 receive SNAP benefits. 1 in 6 children is food insecure. And that in 2023 alone, the food value that you're talking about had an estimate of $17.6 billion?
Correct. This is all data that's been put together by an organization called ReFed. So it's pretty solid data, and there's a tremendous amount of food waste that we've really put a spotlight on in the last 5 to 6 years. We waste about 40% of the food that we produce. So we really need to turn that around. And I think Senate Bill 1398 and the Feed and Conserve movement, it's a grassroots movement. This is not an easy bill to pass in Springfield, but we do believe that with what's going on with SNAP and our environment, that the time is now for Senate Bill 1398.
What are you looking for from local nonprofits where this is concerned?
That's why we created the Feed and Conserve Coalition, if you will. The website is feedandconserveil.org. And we're trying to build enough momentum to show the General Assembly and our elected officials that there's a lot going on in this space. There are thousands of homes that have food scrap programs. We have thousands of businesses that are diverting their food scraps, hundreds of grocery stores. So we're trying to build this coalition to show that this isn't a bridge too far. This is something that we can do as a society, and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, why do you think with these efforts, many efforts, and so many people that you can easily access, that it is taking a while to get to where you want to be?
It's anytime you divert a significant amount of material out of the landfill, about 20% of what we put in our landfills is food waste, and it's actually a lot of that is good food. There are concerns about donating, concerns about liability. There are concerns that maybe diverting material out of the landfill will be more costly. These are all things that we're taking head on, and we don't necessarily believe that's the case.
And obviously, we're dealing with the expiration of SNAP benefits coming up this weekend, but you say this is just a drop in really the bucket to the overall issue that you have.
Correct. I mean, if you look at the big, beautiful bill, the federal legislation that was passed, it has a significant impact on SNAP long term. And we've seen in these other states that pass similar laws that food donations increase significantly. And we're currently working with DePaul University to do a study on what the grocery stores in Illinois are doing now. But we've seen some preliminary data that quite a few of them don't donate right now. They simply don't have the supply chain and the ability to do it. But there's so much good food that we're throwing into the landfill that we shouldn't be, that we do need policy and legislation so that we can get that, recover that material and feed people.
Thank you so much, Walter. Again, with Solid Waste Agency of Lake County, telling us a little bit more about Senate Bill 1398. We certainly appreciate you, and please let us know how things go from here.
Appreciate this outlet that you've given us. Thank you.
All right, take care. We'll be right back. All right, we're back at 1:33, and Vice President J.D. Vance is speaking after a roundtable on the shutdown's impact on aviation. Let's listen in.
And to place that upon reopening the government. You don't reward hostage taking. If Democrats want to talk about healthcare policy, let's talk about healthcare policy. If they want to talk about tax policy, let's talk about tax policy. They don't get to come in here and say, you give us everything we want, or we're going to shut down the government and not pay our pilots and not pay our air traffic controllers. It's ridiculous, disgraceful, irresponsible behavior. There have got to be 5 more moderate Democrats in this entire city who are willing to work with us to reopen the government.
Mr. Vice President, on the issue of the shutdown, there is the concern about 42 million people losing their SNAP benefits.
Of course.
Over this weekend. The administration's moved a lot of money around to pay troops, to pay federal law enforcement, and is telling Congress they can't move money around to pay.
Okay, we were listening in there to Vice President J.D. Vance speaking after that roundtable on the government shutdown's impact on aviation. The roundtable was with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, and some aviation industry leaders. And since we're talking about transportation, that in the form of aviation, I want to go ahead and bring in State Representative Kam Buckner, because we have a lot to talk about the public transportation situation in our own state of Illinois. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you for having me.
I know that you're being called in momentarily, so we understand if you need to break from us and go. But tell me where things stand at this point in time with this bill to raise $2 billion to fund public transportation in the Chicago area.
We are still in the process of negotiating and discussing what the best version of this bill is. I want to remind people that the backbone, the infrastructure of this of our city and our state is our public transit system. It's how people get around. It's how we move folks to the places that are important to them. And it's really important for us here in Springfield to be able to pass a bill that funds that for the future and also reforms it. And so we are having conversations about it. We have a few more hours left here in Springfield before our veto session has concluded for the year. But I do believe that we are on the right track, and hopefully in the next couple of hours, we've got some good news for the people.
Okay, now, when you say the right track, when people hear anything about new taxes, they're like, no, that's the wrong track. But you did say that you are still kind of working things out. What has been the pushback?
Well, listen, whenever you are asking for more revenue to do things, people rightfully want to know more about it and where the money's coming from, where it's going to go, how do you make sure that people are accountable and transparent in the way that they spend it. The push that we put forward, the proposal that we put forward here in the House a couple of days ago, focused on things that did not fall on the laps or on the doorsteps of normal and everyday Chicagoans and Illinoisans. Things like a billionaire tax that would tax unrealized assets and gains at about 4.95%. Obviously, there was some pushback from that here in this building, but this is part of the process, right? We'll run through ideas. And we'll figure out a way to land at a place that works for everybody. But the truth of the matter is that whatever we do, we've got to be smart. We've got to be balanced. We've got to make sure that we are not overburdening people who use this system and folks who are having a hard time making ends meet.
Yeah, the governor, who is a billionaire, was not a fan of the billionaire tax. Then there's also the impact on large-scale events. Now, you mentioned not everyday Illinoisans obviously would maybe feel the brunt of that, maybe people who are visiting here. But the conversation about things like Lollapalooza has come up today and the impact a new tax could have on big events like that. Well, what is your response?
Yeah, so once again, having a balanced approach to this means that we've got to find ways to gin up more economic development. I want more events in Chicago. I want folks like Lollapalooza not just to be there, but to be in the city and to stay. We know the economic impact that it has on our hotels and our restaurants and our bars. It's great. But what also is true is that the reason that an event like Lollapalooza wants to be in Chicago is because we have the cultural things and the institutions and the infrastructure that makes Chicago a worthwhile city. That includes the CTA, that includes our public transit system. And so there's a balance. Once again, I know I've said that word a few times now, but it's about making sure that we are able to maintain these services, but also that we're not overburdening people or industries, because I think that the best way for our city to move forward is to find ways to create some growth.
Yeah, the Chicago Transit Authority is facing a more than $200 million shortfall in 2026. Why? Why are we here?
There are a few things. One, planning that got us here from days way before you and I were sitting in any of these seats. Just the way that the system has worked and the system was set up, which is part of the reason we're trying to reform that entire structure here in Springfield. What also is true is that COVID-19 was pretty detrimental to the system. We saw ridership decrease, we saw costs go up, and we saw no real plan moving forward, which is also why we had to take this on. And so once those federal dollars dried up and ridership stayed at a lower level, we had to find ways to, once again, tweak the system, to put more money into it, not just for today, but to create a more sustainable system so we're not having this conversation 20 years from now.
So since this announcement of the bill came out, have you been getting phone calls or emails from your constituents? And what have those been like?
I've gotten folks who had more questions about some of the revenue proposals. I've also had folks who have called our office here in Springfield, who live in the district back in Chicago, who have said, listen, keep going, don't give up. This is an important fight that we need some conclusion on, right? And so I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged that we're going to be able to move forward. I know a lot of the talk yesterday was about cold water being thrown on the plan as it was. I will remind folks that in this building here in the state capitol in Springfield, there's cold water thrown on every issue. and we've got more cold water here than a polar plunge, but we found a way to get things done because it's important for the people, and we're going to deliver on that promise.
So I also see that this bill would require some reforms in terms of oversight and transparency. Talk a little bit about that in terms of paving a different way forward.
To me, the reform part is the most important part. We can find the revenue, right, and we can raise the revenue, but if we are putting good money in a bad system, we're going backwards. And so we spent a lot of time over the last year and a half creating a framework that did not create a consolidated agency taking away CTA, RTA, METRA and PACE's individual rights, right? But creating a larger umbrella organization called NETA, which will be the Northern Illinois Transit Authority, which will have the ability to do things like make sure that the schedules are integrated, that the fare system is integrated. You don't have to use a bunch of different platforms to get on the different systems, that we're doing smarter things when it comes to the purchasing of buses and trains and the equipment, the rolling stock that we need to make the system work. It also creates more accountability. We put some parameters in the bill that create some data structures so that we can look at what's going on. If we have to reschedule routes and move around how people get around, we should do that so that folks aren't waiting for buses for 45, 55, an hour and a half in some cases, right? And so there's a lot here that makes this a much stronger system. And I will be very clear with the people of Chicago that this is the most consequential and comprehensive transit legislation that any state legislature has taken on in the history of this entire country. We're doing it right, and I think we're almost there.
Tell me a little bit about who you have support from within that building.
Well, so listen, this has been a bipartisan effort. We've had both Republican and Democrat senators and reps on this. When we do finally put a bill up on the board to vote today, I think you'll see support from both Republicans and Democrats. I've got to give a nod to Brad Stevens, who is a Republican member who represents parts of Chicago, and Rosemont, who has been an integral part of our conversations. The transit advocates are helping in this space. The environmental advocates, because they know how important this is for our climate and our environment, they've been a big help. We've got labor, the AFL-CIO, and folks in that space have locked arms with us to say we've got to get this done, because we've got in Chicago 10,000 CTA drivers and bus train operators union employed. Metro, 3,500 of those folks with PACE is 1,500. And these are real good paying jobs for people who live in our community. And so we've got a great coalition across the board, faith leaders, community activists, folks who know that this is important, CEOs from the business community. And we're going to get this done because it's the right thing for Chicago and it's the right thing for Illinois.
So you said right thing for Chicago, right thing for Illinois, but a lot of people who are downstate, and it feels like every time this kind of conversation comes up, people who are downstate say, why are we going to be affected for something that affects Chicago mainly? What is your response?
Yeah, and I've heard that for years, and that's why this time is different. This bill is not just a Chicago-based bill. You hear that I continue to talk about the rest of Illinois. Now, NETA, which is the new RTA system that will happen when we pass this bill, is specifically Chicago and the 6 collar counties, right? But for the rest of the counties, the 97 other counties in this state, there is also some benefit in this bill for them too. We are helping out the transit systems in places like Rockford, the Rockford Metro Transportation District, in places like Champaign-Urbana, the MTD, here in Springfield, the SMTD, the MetroLink, which is the system on our border with St. Louis. All of those systems are going to have some help from this bill. They'll have financial help, they'll have infrastructure help, they'll have administrative and accountability help. And once again, this is creating a network for the entire state of Illinois. It's a Chicago, a lot of people are talking about this as a Chicago-centric bill because the Chicago systems are the biggest, but this is going to be a boon for the entire state.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing that it would create a law enforcement task force. Can you explain that? Because we have definitely seen some very concerning incidents that have taken place over the last year or two.
Yeah, when this bill passes, it's going to take a big look at safety and how we deal with safety on the system. Now, number one, I want to say the safest systems in the world are the systems that have the most people on them. And the systems that have the most people on them are the systems that are the most reliable, right? And so we understand that in order to create some long-term safety, we got to do better with making the system reliable so people can want to use it, making it clean and friendly, because when there are more people on a train, there is less crime on a train, right, or on a bus. But as we work towards that goal, we know that we've got to do some things immediately to make sure people feel safe. And so we have put together some work with the Cook County Sheriff's Department, and I want to thank Sheriff Dart for his help in this space to have some presence on the trains immediately. But we're also putting together a task force that will, over time, in the next couple of years, tell us whether or not we need to create an entirely new law enforcement agency for the NETA trains and the NETA system, which is CTA, Metra, and PACE, and how we keep folks safe, and we do it in a way that is aligned with where we are in this state, in this city here in 2025.
So aside from the transit funding bill, I want to ask you a couple of other things regarding your time there for the veto session. Where do things stand? You know, we had you on maybe a week or two ago to talk about your bill as it pertained to the Chicago Bears and their hopes for a new stadium in Arlington Heights. Where do things stand with that? Because I'm hearing there may be some movement today.
Well, so any bill that we move today around mega projects and giving folks some tax certainty in those spaces will exclude the Chicago Bears. We have said that we are not ready for a Bears a piece of legislation now, that the Bears need to create space for some conversation about how they want to move forward and what it is we can do that is helpful for them, but more importantly, that's not egregious to the people of Illinois and the people of Chicago, which obviously is the place that I represent. And so the bill that I put forth is really the bones of the conversation that we need to be having moving forward on how we operate in this state when it comes to stadium financing, making sure that the people are not left holding the bag.
Okay, and then any other priorities that maybe we haven't talked about, but that are big issues for today?
Well, this is a very short session. We had 3 days this week to do a lot of work. We got some big things passed last night, like an energy package that will eventually bring people's rates down, but also that will make sure that our grid is more stable. Today, obviously, we're spending a lot of time on transit and a few other big things, but it's a finite amount of things. But the most important things, I think, are going to be our responses to the SNAP issue, which we're working on right now, and how we respond to the immigration and ICE issues that have been pushed upon us from the federal government and the Trump administration.
And what are some of the things that have been discussed where those two things are concerned? Because those are major issues.
Well, we know 1.9 million Illinoisans rely on some form of SNAP, and so we're trying to find ways to help bolster them. The bill for SNAP for this state is about $30 million a month. And so we know that the state budget can't handle all of that, but there's a way, I think, for us to work with food banks and soup kitchens and with our congressional delegation to make sure that we are doing things from an immediate relief standpoint, which we will see some immediate relief hopefully today as we continue to work through what that looks like, but also for the long term, because we don't know how long this impasse is going to last. And as far as the ICE and the National Guard activity, many members of the Black and Latino caucus are working together on some bills that we'll see today. I've been focused on transit, so I haven't really been able to dig into the nuts and bolts of that. But I know it has to be responsive to where we are today and protect our people.
Okay, thank you, State Representative Kam Buckner. We appreciate you, and we'll have you back soon, I hope.
Have a good one.
Okay, you too. 1:48. Let's take a quick break. right, 1:51 right now, and I told you at the beginning of this broadcast that we were going to talk to a few heroes in the community who are working to be a part of the solution during challenging times for so many. I want to bring in a couple right now. Fire Chief Bernard Bernie Grisolia and local 556 President Captain Mike Hall of the Hammond Fire Department. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
Appreciate
Thank
having you here. I love what you all are doing, sharing recipes of how to stretch or maybe feed a family on $15. So to stretch your dollar to feed a whole family off of this. Tell me how this came about.
Absolutely. Again, I'm proud of my firefighters here, my brothers, sisters. We have a great brotherhood, sisterhood. During these challenging times, I talked to the firefighters, and Brother Hall, my president of Local 556, he took charge of this, and it's a great story. He's able to, talking to firefighters, we're putting out menus and, recipes to help feed families under $15. And Brother Mike's going to take over a little bit, talk about the story. He's a big part of it, and I'm proud of him, proud of all our firefighters.
Captain Hall,
Thanks, Chief.
are you a chef? Do you cook?
I've done my share of cooking over the years, but currently we have a younger member who's a fantastic cook doing most of the cooking over here where I'm at. And when you're cooking for 8 or 10 people, believe me, it's something that goes unthanked sometimes. And so I'm happy to pass the torch.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the impact you hope to make for people in your area.
Well, I think, after seeing a lot of the stories and seeing some of the, the nervousness and panic set in about possible benefits not coming in, we thought it might be a nice idea to put some of these recipes out to stretch people's budget a little bit. And, we've always donated to food banks, soup kitchens, stuff like that. But we thought, what if we could do something a little bit different and maybe encourage the community to come together? We're still going to donate to these things. Actually, we just donated a few days back, but we want to do something else. We want to help people be creative with the funds they have, and just continue to help each other out.
What's the response you all have gotten already from just the post that you put up saying what you were going to do?
It's been a great response. I mean, Mike could tell you we had thousands of viewers. I actually had quite a few phone calls yesterday asking about recipes, and it was wonderful to hear from the community, the city. Again, we're proud to help out the city, the community, other communities in the nation. But Mike could tell you we had probably thousands of viewers already. So it's we're looking forward. I'm actually looking forward to trying some of these meals they're going to be putting out in the next couple of days here.
Is there a particular recipe that's really getting people going?
Well, we're only into our second day, but I think the chicken pot pie in a skillet was a big one. I think that gained a lot of attention just from the pictures alone. And then when we finally posted it, it's taken off. Very cheap meal. I think we made it for like $12 to feed a family. So well worth the $1.
Awesome. Now, are these tried and true recipes?
Yeah, I mean, so there's some of the ways that we do things might be a little bit different. For instance, with that one recipe, we normally like to buy a rotisserie chicken and shred it up. But not everybody has that option. And so we offer different ways to do it. You can do it with chicken thighs, you can do it with chicken breasts, whatever you have available to you. So yeah, I mean, we've tried these things around the station, and that one was a big hit around here, and that's why we posted that one. We are going to have a local favorite coming up, just to give everybody a heads up. We're going to teach everybody how to make homemade pierogies. There's a big Polish area around here, and home of Pierogi Fest in Whiting, and so we're gonna do one of those in the next few days.
Yes, I love seeing the babushkas every year. So tell me, for you all, you cook for a group, cook for a house, a firehouse, on a regular basis. What does that do? Obviously food can be healing, it can be therapeutic, it can be bonding. Tell me what that does, feeding people within your own community.
Yeah, definitely. It builds the morale at a fire station. It brings us together. The kitchen is the central hub of every station for every crew. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. From morning time, it's coffee time. We spend time. We talk about calls, talk about families. Well, so we really bond together. And it's also about budget. We learned to budget in the fire department in the kitchen. And that's why we're offering these meals under $15, because sometimes it's hard for us too at the fire station to cook a meal for eight firefighters or 10 firefighters. So sometimes we're able to, we do the same at the station. There's days we have to cook under $15, and we might have a wonderful pasta meal, or as Brother Mike stated, we might make homemade pierogi and have fun with the whole crew. It's all about building trust and building the morale together.
Yeah. How long do you all anticipate doing this?
Well, I think we planned on doing recipes for 7 days, but we've gotten a very big following from this, and so a lot of people are suggesting that maybe we do a cookbook, and so I think we might come up with something like that, and we hope that some of the other neighboring fire departments or Chicagoland fire departments might do the same thing. People are definitely interested. Let's help out the community, and just thinking about this stuff. Firefighters respond to all kinds of emergencies. I mean, obviously fires, floods, earthquakes, but we plan on this challenge not being any different. We want to take it head on. We want to help out financially. We want to help out with recipes. We want to help out the community however we can.
Well, we thank you for what you do on a regular basis and for sharing this special idea with so many people in the community. I'm sure it goes far beyond Hammond of the eyes that will be on the recipes that you all are posting. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it.
All right, you all take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
1:57, everyone. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Okay, that was quick.
All right, 2 o'clock right now. We're giving you a live picture to the White House. Any minute now, we are anticipating the arrival of President Trump back from his trip to Asia, where he was working out a trade deal with President Xi Jinping there in China. So he talked about the fact that it was a very productive trip and that much will come out of this. We're not sure yet whether he will take questions when he arrives back at the White House, but hopefully so. And if we do get some reporter interaction interaction with the president, we'll try to take you back there live so that we can hear what he is saying, whether it's about his trip or maybe some other things that he has coming up. We also want to take a look at the big board right now and see where stocks look. We're seeing green as of right now. Obviously, we're still a ways away from the close of the day, but right now the Dow Jones, look, in the minute I said that, that little switch turned from green to red here. But it has been a fairly good day there for the stock trade this morning. We have seen, as you're seeing now, this little turnabout in just the last few moments here. I'm seeing that the S&P 500 has been dragged down by Meta and Microsoft, but the Dow has gained on investors rotating out of tech here. So, of course, we saw a very mixed day yesterday with the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, making the announcement that there was a rate cut of 0.25%, but it was also mixed because he said, well, the December cut that so many people thought was inevitable, he says, it actually is not so inevitable. In fact, it may not happen. So things may be mixed yet again today, but we see quite a bit of green that did take place and just a smidgen of red now finally coming up here on the screen. We'll continue to monitor that and see how things go during our time here now that we're in the 2 o'clock hour. But there's much to come in this hour, so let's take a quick break and we'll talk a little bit more on the opposite side of it. Joel 7 right now, and Caitlin Cody is back up here in Studio 32 after Chicago Now. So it's a gorgeous day outside, but how are things shaping up?
It's going to be really nice the rest of the day today. So yesterday it was really gusty. Did you feel that?
Oh, absolutely. I was like walking outside.
Yeah. 30, 35 mile per hour winds yesterday. Today it's a little bit gusty. So we've been watching from our live cameras this morning into this afternoon. They kind of are shaking around a little bit. We could see gusts around 20 miles per hour. But you can see from this live shot even the clouds. So we do have partly cloudy skies, partly to mostly sunny, I would say. Through the rest of the day, temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Let's talk about Halloween.
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow's high is going to be in the mid 50s. We're going to have partly cloudy conditions again. During the day, it's going to be dry and quiet.
Okay.
But there is a chance for a little bit of light rain working its way in Friday night. So after about 9 or 10, Friday night into early Saturday, we're going to have the chance for a few spotty showers around. Saturday it's going to be a little chilly, high of only 51 degrees. 54 expected Sunday with dry skies and sunshine. And next week, we're all about the mild temperatures, upper 50s, low 60s, Monday through Thursday of next week. So it's going to feel very nice. Our normal high today is in the upper 50s. So we are going to have a little bit of a roller coaster with those temperatures again this weekend. Cooler on Saturday, warmer on Sunday. And then next week, we have the stretch of mild conditions. So for Friday evening, for trick-or-treaters, between about 5 and 8, I expect dry skies. As far as what your kids should wear, I would say layer it up. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s and low 50s during trick-or-treat time with those few clouds around. And then that chance for rain mostly after trick-or-treating ends, but we are going to have that scattered wet weather Friday night into early Saturday.
Okay, so if you're dressing your kids for Halloween, give us some instructions based on the weather.
Upper 40s, low 50s. I would say like a long sleeve shirt, maybe a thick long sleeve shirt on top of a t-shirt. I don't know. I don't think you're going to have to break out the winter jackets on top of the costumes this year. I know sometimes we run into that issue, but whatever they're comfortable in, like this morning, whatever they were wearing when they were sitting out at the bus stop, I would say that would be a safe bet. But it's not going to be too bad. Overall, I think people are going to be happy with this Halloween forecast.
Okay, you know, you never know. Like,
I know.
I mean, we've had some Halloweens where it snowed and some where it's super hot. You just never know.
You don't.
Yeah.
I know. I was looking back at pictures from a couple of years ago, and it felt like summer outside. And then my 6-year-old daughter's first Halloween, it was snowing. It was her first snow. So yeah, interesting. Always.
What are your kids going to be this year?
Ooh, we've got a baby deer for Bodie. And
Little Bambi.
what else do we have? We have a butterfly for Darcy, and Birdie's going to be a bunny. Are you going to dress up? What are you doing?
No.
No.
Oh, no.
Passing up candy? Spending $500 on candy?
They have like a little, obviously I'm in a condo building.
Yeah.
So they have like a little party downstairs for all the kids. It's so funny because it's usually so quiet in the building. In my first year there, it was Halloween when I realized how many kids are in the building. And I was like, oh my gosh, there are a ton of kids in this. I never hear them.
Wow. So in condos, they don't go door to door. You guys do it all at one time. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I look forward to seeing them running around in there.
It's fun.
And some pictures of your kids too.
Oh, of course.
All right.
We'll be sharing all the pics.
Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate it. All right. As we give you this live look outside right now, we are gearing up for another conversation about some of the things that are happening in our state regarding funds. We've talked about federal funds, things like SNAP that are going to be cut over the weekend. We've talked about the shutdown affecting federal workers. Want to bring in Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks to talk about $50 million for a loan program to help federal workers during this shutdown. Thank you so much for your time on a busy day.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a shame that we were here.
Tell me about this $50 million. Where is it coming from, and how do you anticipate it helping?
Yeah, I'm the Chief Investment Officer for the state of Illinois. We invest money, and for the longest time, we've had linked deposit programs where we link our deposits in banks and financial institutions to loans that they offer. And so what we're offering is a 0 or near 0 interest loan to federal employees. We estimate there's about 150,000 of them in the state of Illinois who either have been furloughed or they are working without pay right now. and we want to help them be able to afford, their mortgage or their rent, their heating, their electricity or their water, their groceries, things they need to do because they're showing up to work. They're putting in the work. It's Congress and this president who haven't done their job.
A lot of people would say, I mean, it's hard on your heart to even hear that there is this need.
Yes, there are incredible stories, incredibly heartbreaking stories out there of people who have been doing their careers for a long time. They got into them because they're interested in public service. They're helping the most vulnerable in our state, making things function better, and they're being used as pawns. They're being used as pawns here to be able to push for cuts in health care and new tax cuts for friends of this administration. Really, this isn't how government should work. We'll have disagreements here, but everyone, Democrat, Republican, should agree that if you show up to work, you do your job, you should be paid for it. And so until they agree to that, we want to help make investments in our citizens here who are doing their jobs and help them be less of pawns in this battle.
So is it a one-time help for people, or how does that work moving forward?
Well, we expect that they are going to resolve this government shutdown sometime in the near future. We don't think this shouldn't be going on, and hopefully won't be going on much longer. So what we're doing is offering them basically a zero interest based loan to get them through this period. They're continuing to show up. We want them to continue to show up at our airports and our national parks and wherever these federal employees are working. And with this, they'll be able to make their rent, pay their mortgage, pay for the other expenses that come up with living day to day, and then we'll be paid back when the checks finally start being cut.
And how exactly do they access this?
So they can go through one of our banking partners. Right now, we're working with Great Lakes Credit Union. They have branches throughout Chicagoland and parts of downstate Illinois. So they can go in, ask about this low interest loan or this zero interest loan, and they get a loan and they pay it back when the checks are finally cut by the federal government.
So if we had no shutdown right now, what would this money have been used for?
Well, we'd be making these investments in things like treasury notes and money market funds. And so the state will take a little less by doing this, but by investing in our people and making sure that their mortgages are paid, the rent is paid, I think that's better for our state's economy. But our hope is we'll get through this soon here, and we'll go back to some of those traditional investments the state is making.
Is it first come, first serve?
Yeah, so it's up to $50 million. We don't know what will go out there, but we'll evaluate. Our hope is that this will be resolved soon. The Congress will go back. They will seat all of their members. They will actually have a debate here about keeping government open. I understand that some people really want to take away health care from individuals. And I understand that they want to have new tax breaks for other individuals out there. You can fight those, but you shouldn't use federal employees who are doing their jobs as pawns in this fight. This shutdown started October 1st. It's been going on for a while, and employees are finally starting to miss their entire paycheck. This is causing problems. I like to say in the state treasurer's office, we can't solve all of the problems in this country. We definitely can't solve this issue at the federal level, but that doesn't mean we can't be part of the solution. And part of the solution is helping families be able to pay their bills and to get through their lives if they're showing up and doing their part by showing up to work.
Yeah, and you have an estimated 153,000 federal workers in Illinois. So is the loan, is it up to a certain amount that people can ask for?
Yeah, so we work with financial institutions, and they are the ones who issue the loans. We backstop it with our deposits. So it'd be up to the financial institution.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything else that you're preparing or prepared to do to help out? Let's say if this goes beyond, obviously 35 days would be the record, but let's just say if this goes to the end of November or further, are there things that you're already kind of saying maybe we can add on to this?
Yeah, we're always looking at ways that we can be helpful. I'll repeat again, we can't solve all of our problems out there in the state and in the country, but we don't sit back and throw our hands up because we can't solve all of them. We look to see what we can do. And so we've also looked at our charitable trust grant program, which provides grants to smaller nonprofits, a lot of them being food banks, because we know that there are not just federal employees, but there are families who are reliant on SNAP benefits, and those are running out this weekend. We want to make sure that people don't go hungry. Unfortunately, there's not just one problem to address. It's a cascading problem out there. We've seen this in terms of cutting back Americans' abilities to feed themselves any number of ways, whether it be back early this year with that big bill they were crowing about that cut back funding for people for food, or earlier this year, cuts were made in food assistance to food banks. Or, you see, everyone is feeling the pinch in rising prices. If you go to the grocery store, there was an awful lot of talk last year about stopping inflation on day one. Well, it hasn't happened. And we see it when you go to buy things like hamburger, or you're looking to buy your coffee or other things out there. That is taking away our purchasing power, which means people have less money to spend on their food.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to see what we can do to help alleviate some of this anxiety. We can't take care of all of it, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try to do something.
Let me ask you this, maybe on a final note. Obviously, this is not the first time we've had a government shutdown. What did you do before that maybe you're switching up now or adding on to now, or just doing differently this time around?
Yeah, well, the last time we did this was in the first Trump administration. I think we're about to set a record for the longest government shutdown, which will break the record set in the first Trump administration. And during that administration, we did the same thing. We went out to financial institutions. We used our power of linked deposit programs modeled on our Ag Invest program to help our state's farmers, to help our government employees. Fortunately, that was resolved soon enough that it didn't require an awful lot. But there are a lot of families facing anxiety out there. Maybe they've got a little bit of savings. Maybe they know, well, hey, I can pay the bills for the next couple of weeks or so. But if this drags on further, what am I going to do? And if they know that the state is there and has their backs, it helps reduce some of that anxiety. And so some of this is providing money, and some of it is providing assurances that someone out there is looking out for them.
All right. Thank you so much, Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frerichs. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
2:20 right now. Let's take a quick break. .222, and I've so been looking forward to this conversation with Officer Zachary Finn. You may not know that name, But you may have seen him in a viral video recently saving a woman's life. He is with me right now to talk more about that situation. Officer Zachary Finn of the Cook County Sheriff's Police Patrol. Thank you so much for what you do on a regular basis and taking some time out to chat with me today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You are a hero on any given day, but this kind of elevates things when we see a video like this. Tell me about your day on September 22nd.
I was just out on my normal patrol, just driving around, and I saw a car on the sidewalk, and I thought that was interesting. So I pulled up behind the car, and I saw a woman get out, and she was holding her throat. So I then asked her, "Are you okay?" And obviously she couldn't speak. So I then realized something was wrong. So then I performed the Heimlich, and I was able to get the obstruction that was in her throat out, and she was able to breathe again.
Did she have to go to the hospital from there? It looked like, just when I was watching the video, you were kind of calling in for some help after you were able to dislodge whatever was in her throat.
Yes, I ended up calling for our ambulance to come by. They came, they checked her out. She was fine. She didn't want to go to the hospital. She just was, grateful that I was there at that time. She was actually choking on a bagel. So, yeah, I don't think she's going to have those anymore. But regardless, yeah, I made sure so that she could get some help, but she was medically fine.
So she was able to go home right after that?
Yes, correct. Yeah, she was actually picking up her husband from work. So she was able to pick him up and then go home after that.
Okay, let's break down a couple of things. A lot of people take for granted CPR and training of the Heimlich, and it's not just for first responders. Would you like to kind of highlight the importance, because this video certainly did?
Yeah, absolutely. You should, it is something that I think that most people should learn, just in case, because you just don't know. You could be out at a grocery store, at a restaurant, or just wherever. And how I was just out driving. You should know what to do to help people. And it's how with me, it was more instinct of all the training that I've had just to go and just help. So definitely would be something that people need to take for real, because you could save, someone's life.
Yeah. And then after you have the training, a lot of times you think I'm never going to need this, or will it all kick into motion when I need it the most? What was going through your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. It's I wasn't even thinking. You just you just been taught it, and you just do it. It's more, like I said, it's like a instinct. You just do it, and you just remember what you were taught. Over the years, we have tons of CPR training with Cook County Sheriff, and it just kicks in. So just to pay attention and learn. But yeah, I just did it. Just knew what I had to do and just helped her out.
Yeah. And you said she was grateful. How much conversation did you all have there? And have you seen her since?
Yes, actually, she was nervous. I was talked to her. It took a little bit for EMS to show up, but I was trying to calm her down. Obviously, anyone in that kind of a situation would be stressed out. So we talked for a little bit, and then I got her number, and we were texting and talking. And then I saw her just this past week, and she was so happy. And I was happy to see her too, that she was able to, be there instead of, unfortunately not. But I was very happy to see her. Yeah,
I mean, it truly is a matter of life and death. I can recall having a life-threatening accident, and, it was out in a rural area, and some people would say coincidentally, the first person to get to me was an off-duty emergency room nurse. I call it divine intervention. What do you call just being there in the nick of time for her?
Yeah, it was just honestly, just right place, right time. I've been trained, just to be vigilant, and always just pay attention to things and look around. And yeah, I mean, maybe it was just a godsend thing for someone to be there, and me, just to be there to help her at that time and to know what I was doing. So yeah, I mean, it was divine intervention, I guess, for me to be there.
Yeah. Has anything like this ever happened to you before?
No, it was first time. And after the fact, you're just wow, okay, that just happened. But no, this is the first time, and I was glad I was there to be there for her.
Yeah. How long have you been a Cook County Sheriff's police officer?
I've been on the force for 11 years in total.
Okay. All right. So in 11 years, nothing like this. And then,
no, never.
You were ready when the time came. So let me ask you this, moving forward, How have the other police officers kind of taken your newfound fame?
It's just Josh, but where I work, like we're all like a family. Like I've noticed in my department, everyone is just like always there for each other, like at work and life in general. But yeah, a little bit of hazing, but just being friendly and stuff like that. So I'll take it. It's fine.
Is it at all odd to you or weird, or how does it feel with so many people now knowing your name and seeing your face all over the country?
Yeah, it's like, it's like I told her, like I just was just doing my job. Yeah, it's awkward, but it's nice. It's good to see, people show and care, and it's good for law enforcement to show like people like, we're always there for people, and it's good to show that, we all have hearts, and we're just there to help you.
Well, I'm so glad that you were there for her. And like I said, I couldn't wait to have this conversation with you, to be able to say thank you, from all of us here at Fox 32. Just that video, it really is a good thing for people to be able to see right now.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You take care. Be safe.
Thank you. You too.
Mm-hmm. It's 2:29. We'll be right back. .231 right now, and I don't even know if in looking at our lineup for today as it was kind of coming together, really took in just how much heartwarming content we had in this 2 o'clock hour. But I want to take you to another story that is definitely in that category. I want to bring in Brianna Cowan of the Wooden Paddle in Lamont. And are you there? Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Hello. How are you?
Oh, I am doing great, and especially after hearing what you all are doing there with your company, with your restaurant. First, just tell me about Wooden Paddle.
Sure, yeah. So we actually have two locations. We're in Lamont and LaGrange, the south suburbs of Chicago. We are a pizzeria first, wood-fired pizzeria, but we also do a lot of artsy cocktails and have a few fun locations. So,
well, congratulations on your success, first and foremost, on building into that second location with your husband, Jonathan. Now you have an offer for people who are really anticipating a financial crisis in just about 48 hours. Tell me about your offer for SNAP beneficiaries.
Yeah, so it recently was brought to my attention that that was something I didn't even think about, kind of the repercussions of the government shutdown and what could possibly be lost. And when that was brought to our attention, we thought, what can we do? Our communities are so awesome and they've always supported us. So whenever we see an opportunity to support our communities, we want to do it. And pizza is such an easy way to do that. And so we are offering through November, and we might have to continue it into December, if it goes longer, but we are offering a free lunch for anyone who is using the benefits and would have that canceled out if, that continues through November. So they're going to get a choice of a cheese pizza or pepperoni pizza. Our pizza is incredible. So they're going to have a great lunch. And yeah, we're really excited to help out our community. At the end of the day, the government can't figure it out. We're gonna figure it out.
I love community members just figuring out, hey, what can I do from my standpoint? Obviously, DC is going to be DC, and then they'll hopefully figure things out on their end at some point in time. But just jumping in right where you are with what you have, and that's pizza. I wouldn't have thought. But then you think, well, no, this could be very helpful for people. What's been the response that you've gotten from people already?
Honestly, overwhelmingly positive. I'm actually blown away by the response, and people have even asked to donate to help with this so that we can keep it going. Mm-hmm. And honestly, with the communities that we're in, I really expected nothing less. They are super supportive communities. And so they're rallying alongside of us. And, we have seen the few comments of people who are very thankful that if, they do need to use this, that we are available to them. And that's pretty awesome to see. There's an elderly woman that commented and said, I have been there before and I would, so appreciate, if I need to use this, that the offer's there. And those are the people we're doing it for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. How long has your business been around?
Since 2013, we started Wood and Paddle. We moved to Lamont in 2018, and then we just recently opened this past year in LaGrange. So we've been around a little bit now.
Yeah, you've weathered your own storms. I'm thinking COVID among them, but then also just inflation. So talk about weathering what you've been through financially with your business.
Yeah, so honestly, COVID was a little rough, I think, for every restaurant. And then even right now, I wouldn't say it's the easiest time to run a business. Inflation's been hard. It's hard to deal with kind of the rising costs of everything. And we're feeling that. It's not like our sales are way up. It isn't the easiest time to own a business, but we've always seen any time that we give, we get back triple what we do. And I'm thankful that we even have a resource as simple as it is, being able to make pizza, kind of the everyman's food. I'm happy that at the end of my life, I'm going to be able to pinpoint a few times that I was able to help people, and this being one of them. And so we're excited to do it.
Absolutely. I may be getting too personal, but do you have children?
I do. Yeah, I have 2 children, an 8 and a 6-year-old, and I have one on the way.
Oh, congrats. I got real personal unintentionally there. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a wonderful message, though, all of this is to them. That's really where I was going with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, it all happened so fast. And it's fun because they're 8 and 6. They know what we're talking about. They understand business because we talk about it in front of them all the time. And it's fun for them, for me and my husband, for them to be able to see what we're doing, that we're not just using, our business as just a business, that if we have an opportunity to give, we do. And I think more than anything, that's going to teach them some important lessons growing up, more than anything I can teach them about running a business. It's like, you know what, first and foremost, we're going to be good people.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean that is the biggest lesson that whether they're business owners, if they're just good people. What did you say to your staff? How did you present this to your staff, and did you have to do some training, or what was your conversation like with them?
Yeah, so it was really quick, and I was like, we are very much like fire ready aim. So kind of came up with the idea and decided to push it out, and now we're kind of figuring out all the details on the back end. And we are kind of overwhelmed by the response. So now we're kind of thinking about, all right, we might need to staff up a little bit. We might need to order a little bit more. But awesome. If we have the opportunity to do that, and that many people truly need it, I think that's one of those things that brings purpose to our business outside of just the day-to-day, serving, who are awesome customers, but that is the day-to-day. I think we're all really looking forward to helping out, people in need.
Yeah, it's really a moment for your business that people will remember for a very long time. When you think about like somebody that helped me in my time of need, that sticks with you for a very long time, longer than the meal itself. So tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so we're at woodenpaddle.com. You can find us at Wooden Paddle on Insta. We're on Facebook and TikTok, things like that. That's where we have posted the update. We also just recently posted a link if you want to donate additionally to help us. Who knows how long this is going to go, first of all. So, but additional help, anything is going to go directly to these people. And if this runs out, to other people. And that's where we are.
Yeah, I was absolutely getting ready to ask you if people want to help you, how can they do that? So thank you for that. And then if people are coming in need, what exactly do they need to do or say?
So our host or our manager, they just need to mention it, show their SNAP card, and then we've got the rest covered from there.
Yeah, what do you want to say to them about that moment? Because I know sometimes that it's a very humbling moment to say that you need that help.
I would say there's no shame in it. I feel like the people that I am imagining walking through the door are single parents, they're elderly people, they are veterans. There's absolutely no shame in taking help when you need help. And we are going to welcome them with open arms. We're going to be discreet about it because I don't want anyone to feel ashamed. I can see, how they might, but we want to help. So if they need the help, I want them to know that we are welcoming them with open arms. We don't want hungry people just because the government can't get it together. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for what you and your husband and your wonderful restaurant are doing. Thank you for being a light in a dark time for people. And please continue to update us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. It's 2:40. We'll be right back. Okay, it's about 2:43 right now. I want to take you live to Washington, D.C., where Jeanine Pirro is speaking after a suspect has now been arrested in a major case that she has been following. This is the murder of a congressional intern.
Zoe Kelly right here was a young woman. I believe she was 17 years old as well. Her murder took place in the 1700 block of Benning Road Northeast. Her body was found in one of those storage containers where she was covered with blankets and other items, and she was in the closet of a roommate of Naquan's father's apartment. When they found her, she was unconscious, she was unresponsive, and she was suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. I don't know that much about Zoe, but I want to read to you what her mom said. She said, on the 4th of July, I see my baby that morning, Shanika Kelly said. That evening, I didn't see her no more. She never came back home. She never returned to us. And whoever did this, please know that justice is going to be served. We live in a district where all three of these juveniles that I've just mentioned are known to the juvenile court. That's all I'm going to say, because I can't say more and I want to. But I can tell you this, that 2 innocent souls were taken from us in what I believe were predictable homicides based upon the behavior of these individuals and the records that everyone knew about. But the D.C. Council is more interested in protecting young criminals under the guise of protecting the innocence of youth. It's time for them to start protecting the citizens of the district, because this is what we're ending up with. We're having victims 5 blocks away, 79 rounds on the ground. This is normal behavior in D.C. No more excuses from this council. And finally, there is something called the Incarceration Reduction Act. I talk about it all the time. It means that if you're under the age of 25, as all 3 of these are, if they serve 15 years, assuming they're convicted, they go before a board. They don't have to prove they're better, they're rehabilitated, or anything. And they get out after 15 years. Okay? This victim and this victim, Eric and Zoe, one man is charged with both of them. That one man is 18, Naquan. Once he serves 15 years, he gets out because of the rules in the district that have to change. Chief Smith.
Thank you, Judge Pirro. Good afternoon. I'm Chief Pamela Smith, Chief of Police of the Metropolitan Police Department. I am pleased to join Judge Pirro in announcing the 3rd and final arrest in the homicide of 21-year-old Eric and the closure of the homicide of 17-year-old Zoe Kelly. Know that our thoughts and our prayers are certainly with all of their families on today. The loss of Zoe and Eric continues to weigh heavily on our hearts. They were young people full of promise, just beginning to shape their futures with their entire lives ahead of them. We hope that today's development will bring a measure of peace to their loved ones. We know it won't bring them back, and we know that nothing can take away the pain or the loss that they felt, but it is my prayer and it is our collective prayer that this moment offers some sort of comfort as they continue to grieve and heal. From the night of June 30th, our detectives have worked countless hours gathering evidence that ultimately identified the 3 suspects responsible for the shooting that claimed Eric's life and injured the 2 additional victims. Later that same week, on Friday, July 5th District officers responded to an apartment in the 1700 block of Benning Road Northeast. Officers located 17-year-old Zoe Kelly, deceased inside of that apartment, suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. Detectives from our homicide branch worked this case, and the office of our chief medical examiner ultimately ruled Zoe Kelly's death a homicide. Our detectives soon determined that 18-year-old Naquan Lucas, who had already been identified.
Okay, listening in there to the chief of police in Washington, D.C., and we heard also from Judge Jeanine Pirro detailing this case that's been going on since June after a congressional intern was murdered there in D.C. He was just 21 years old, but now they have linked the suspects here to also the murder of a 17-year-old girl, and they are 3 young men. 18 years old, the latest to be arrested, and then 2 17-year-olds, all with former juvenile records. So it is a case, again, that they have started with that congressional intern, the death of that congressional intern. Now it is extended quite a bit more, and so many young lives that are either gone or changed forever as a result of what's taken place here. We'll continue to follow up on that. Let's take a quick break, and we also have another conversation on the opposite side of it. 2:51, and our friends over at the Adler Museum are always doing wonderful things. I think Halloween gives them a little extra something to do. So I want to bring in Dr. Katie Boyce-Jacino, the Director of Collections and Curator there at the museum, to talk about the newest exhibition that opens tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
We are anticipating Halloween. What does the planetarium have that you are trying to take us to for Halloween and beyond?
We have 2 programs actually coming up this weekend. I should say a program and the opening of a really exciting new exhibit. On Sunday, we will have an event called Dark Matter Day, which is an exploration of theories of dark matter in the universe. That should be super fun. There's lots of visiting scientists coming. But one of the things I'm most excited about as curator and as the person in charge of our historical collection is our new exhibit, which is opening on Friday. It's called Stars Aligned, and it's about the intersection of astronomy and astrology in the early modern period. So that's about 1500 to 1800.
Okay, now some people say, okay, astronomy, astrology, don't they kind of go in two separate directions? But there is a nexus, right?
There is, and this is a really interesting history. It's one that I've been interested in for some time. I would say modern astrology and modern astronomy are very different. One is more of a cultural practice that you believe in or don't, and one is a science that's taught in institutions and universities. In the early modern period and before that, astrology and astronomy were very closely connected. The words were used interchangeably, and for the people who studied the sky, they were considered two sides of the same coin. Astronomy generally referred to understanding the movements of the planets, where everything is in the sky and where it will be, whereas astrology was understanding what that meant for life on Earth. So that could be things as general as weather, tides, sort of global changes, or something as personal as your intimate relationships, your business strategies, a trip that you're about to take. All of those things were considered equally influenced by the planets. So understanding where those planets were going, what they were up to up in the sky was really important for people to shape their daily lives and make decisions.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, and then you have a Dark Matter Day as well?
We do. Dark Matter Day is another really exciting thing. Dark matter is a not super well understood, but very important part of our universe. It makes up, I forget the exact number, but significantly more of the matter in our universe than the matter that we can actually see with our eyes, the normal matter. And dark matter is something that scientists are continually studying. We have, for Dark Matter Day, we're going to have people who are working on this from all over the country, from Fermilab, from MIT, from all over the place, coming and talking about their expertise and having lots of demonstrations and things that people can interact with. So you can come see that, and you can come see our new exhibit.
Yeah, and in the exhibit, obviously you don't have to give away everything, but tell us about some of the things that we'll see.
One of the things that I learned a lot about when I was preparing this exhibit that I've become very interested in is the field of medical astrology. This was very popular in the early modern period. The basic idea of it is that different parts of the body are controlled or are influenced by different zodiac signs. So in the traditional system, Aries controls the head, Pisces controls the feet. And so what doctors would do, doctors who believed in medical astrology would cast horoscopes for their really ill patients and would use those horoscopes to determine courses of treatment. What? So for example, if you needed brain surgery in 1600, your doctor could cast a horoscope to figure out if the planets were in an auspicious position in relation to Aries. I will tell you, generally, I don't think I would recommend brain surgery in the 1600s, full stop. I don't think it ended very well as a general rule. But it's such a fascinating example of how integrated astrology was into every aspect of daily life. And I think it's really important for us to take that seriously as a historical subject, because to really understand the history of astronomy and to understand how we know what we know now about the sky, we have to think about all of the different stops we've made along the way. And one of those stops is astrology. It was a major part of how everybody engaged with the world. Even people like Galileo, Kepler, Copernicus, people we think of as astronomers, were practicing astrologers. They were very serious about it. It informed everything that they did. And I think that it's really important for us as modern historians and modern people who are interested in the sky to think about that and what that means.
All right. Now, I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to you have come to the planetarium before. When I came, I didn't realize certain things needed two or a different ticket. So explain that to people. Do you need an additional ticket or anything special for these?
No, these are all part of our general admission. You do, if you want to see what we call a sky show, those are the shows that we have in the planetarium. That's an additional fee on top of your entrance ticket, but your entrance ticket will take you to this exhibit. It will take you to all of the Dark Matter Day interpretations. And even on days when we don't have events like Dark Matter Day, we still have a team of incredible educators who are on the floor offering demonstrations, offering hands-on activities for people to do throughout the museum.
Not much time left, but is there like a best time to come?
I think all times are a great time to come. If you are an Illinois resident, you get free admission on Wednesday nights from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's a great time to go because we also open our observatory, which is the largest telescope in the entire city of Chicago. Even with all the light pollution we have, we can still see some really amazing things like Saturn, the moon, other major planets. It's really beautiful in that telescope. So that's always fun. And I also think any time is a good time to go to space.
I'm sure you do feel that way. That is why you do what you do. And we appreciate you sharing your knowledge with all of us. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to come out and see it.
Great. I hope to see you there.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Bye.
It's just about 2:59, everyone. We hope that whatever point in the conversation you joined us, that you've been enlightened by some of the things that we've gone over today. Wonderful heroes, community heroes, and then also some first responders that we were able to talk to. I know it warmed my heart. I hope it did the same for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that you'll be right back here tomorrow for more Chicago Live. Who knows between now and then what'll come up for us to have in the show, but you can believe that if we can get to it live or we can bring the people into the conversation, we're going to work on that between now and then. So have a great rest of your day. Ooh, yeah, we've got some extra things to work on because it's Halloween tomorrow. So yeah, we've got to add in some extra things for that as well. All right, take care.
Courtroom is a sterile room where you come in, you listen to the facts and the evidence. You leave all your prejudices outside. And everyone in this room has a prejudice. We all do. And if you don't think you do, then you're being naive. We all do. So all we're asking for is just come in cold, listen to the facts, don't come in with any preconceived notions. That's it. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, wanted to bring you those moments here on Live Now from Fox as we just listened into U.S. Attorney Pirro speaking after the arrest in the murder of a congressional intern and a teen. You may remember that story from earlier this summer, but ultimately we do know that Eric Jocham is 21 years old. He died after he was shot on June 30th